Hi guys, namaste, welcome back to Nashvlogs. My name is Nash, and in today's video I'm going to be talking about specifically the problems that I faced after getting married in India. So these problems probably are happening in various interracial marriages, and these are so common in interracial marriages because we have different ways of living our lives in different countries, in different cities and stuff. So today I'm just going to be talking about the problems that I faced as me when I got married in India. So the first problem that I faced was language barrier. Now, by language barrier, I mean it was super different and difficult for me to catch up with stuff, especially when I landed in India. Here it was normal because all the Indians were speaking English with me, and some of them when they were discussing in Hindi, and by then I was not understanding anything in Hindi. So whenever they talked about anything in Hindi, they would tell me, Nash, we are talking about this, and if it is something to laugh about, I would be included and I would laugh about it as well. But when I landed in India, it was so difficult, and my mother-in-law, father-in-law, the other family members, like those ones who have gone to school, to higher classes, and who have gone out, who have been involved in so many things, can speak a little bit of English. But my mother-in-law and father-in-law completely don't speak English. Like completely, they don't speak English, they don't speak Hindi. And my father-in-law knows a little bit of English, but he's not confident with himself. He was once in the police department and stuff, so he knows some English, but because they don't practice the English by speaking daily and stuff, he was a little bit not confident speaking English. Till now, actually, he speaks a word in English and he laughs at himself, like after speaking something in English. You know what I'm talking about? So he lacks the confidence of speaking English, but he understands some of the English that I speak. Like if I speak something in a very slow way, he can understand what I'm saying. So when I landed in India, like nobody knew what I was talking about except my husband. I thank God that I had my husband with me, and he was explaining to me whatever they are saying, but it was so difficult, and I felt so bad whenever it was something so different that I couldn't express my feelings to my mother-in-law or my sister-in-law, or some relatives. Like, okay, my mother-in-law's side, like they have gone to school and they know a lot of English. They even have a professor in their family, and that is so easy for them. Like my mother-in-law's side, like her home, but my father-in-law's side is something so different. Like nobody knows English, nobody speaks English. So the only thing what I was using to communicate with my mother-in-law and father-in-law, like this is so funny, but we were always using signs. You know what I'm talking about? Like whenever he wants to tell me something, he would just touch me to call me, like and do like this. If he wants to call me, if you want to eat, he would he would use the sign language, and I don't know anything about the sign language. So it was so difficult for me. I would always be sitting with my husband, so that I feel comfortable. And okay, I was already comfortable in the home because I was receiving all the love that I needed to receive from my in-laws. But then the communication that was there was so small, like so small that we could not sit as ladies and talk and discuss and laugh. Whenever I saw them talking and laughing, I would feel so bad, like why can't I join them? And whenever my husband, of course the men always don't stay at home, like they're always he's gone to his family after a very long time. He has to check on his friends. I can't be glued to him every time. So I would find it so difficult. Like whenever they are talking, they would use signs for me and stuff. And by the way, this pushed me to learn the language. You know what I'm talking about? I was like, no, this can't happen to me like for the whole of my life. I have to learn this language so that I am able to communicate with my in-laws. Like it would be free, like I would feel free to express my feelings to my mother-in-law and father-in-law. And I learned the language. I tried so hard. Whenever they would talk about something and my husband tells me they are laughing about this, so I would keep that in my mind, and I'm like, okay, this means this. And that is how I learned the language. Like slowly, it has taken time. It has taken too many years for me to learn the language. And I'm going to say that it was easy, that maybe I learned it in a day or something. No, like practice makes perfect. The more my mother-in-law and father-in-law talk to me, is the more I got to know the language, and the more I went to India. Like the more times I travel to India, and all these kids come talk to me, that is when, you know, I learn how to speak the language. Otherwise it was so difficult for me to speak, to, you know, get involved in so many things in India. And like now that I know the language, actually I know 2 languages in India. That is my husband's language, it is called Uriya, and that is the other one is Hindi, which is the national language. So I speak with my mother-in-law every day. Like, she calls 3 or how many times in a day that she can call. Whenever she feels like calling, she'll call and check on us. And I speak all the whole language. Okay, like when my husband speaks, I don't know why it is with me. When my husband speaks his language, I don't speak anything. Maybe because I'm used to him speaking English with me, and some Hindi with me. Like sometimes we speak Hindi when we don't want our son to understand what we are talking about, or we are, you know, speaking about something that he should not listen or he should not understand. We speak Hindi, me and my husband. So this is how I got to learn the language of my husband. But trust me, language barrier was a very huge thing for me when I landed in India. I was so quiet every time. I wouldn't talk to anybody. Like my sister-in-law, like my brother-in-law's wife, she studied, but then she didn't pick up that much English. So I tried so much to teach her English. Like I would tell her something, if she doesn't understand, I touch on something, you know, I'm like, I'm meaning this, and then she would try and figure out what I'm talking about. That time, that means I'm talking about 2016 where I was in India. I would tell her something, you know, I'm talking about this, and she wouldn't understand, and I'm like, I am meaning this, like this. If I'm talking about, let me say, a stone or something, I'm like, this, what is it called, this, and then she would sit and think, and she needed time to, you know, to figure out what I'm talking about, and then finally she would understand what I'm saying. So the other thing that I faced when I went to India was food. Food was a very, very huge thing that I faced when I went to India, because when I left Uganda, my family was not eating that much, you know, curries and the chilies. And in my mother-in-law's home, like, eating chili is a huge thing, and they add too much, like a lot of chili is used in that food. My mother-in-law is eating, sometimes she's like, there is no chili in here, can you please get me a green chili, or can you please get me the red chili? And she adds in her food. And by the time that I went to India, I was, you know, finding even the little chili that they add in the food was too much for me to handle. I couldn't handle the spice there. My husband had to always bring me something from outside. My father-in-law had to always bring me something from outside whenever he goes to the market, or something like snacks, bread. I would survive on bread. Like, I survived on those small things for the longest. Like, for the time we were in India, we were there for about a month, and that is what I survived on eating. I'll try eating some curries, and when I can't, I just stop. And then my father-in-law would feel so bad and go to the to the market or to the nearest shop and bring me a bread or something, and he's like, you can't sleep on an empty stomach. And then I had to learn also the eating chili, like, slowly by slowly, because I knew this is going to be my life, like the whole of my life. I have to be with these people, and this is their food. I can't make them eat my African food. I can't change them to, you know, what I am, or maybe make them cook 2 types of curries because of me. So I had to learn how to eat, you know, the strong spices, the strong chilies that they will be putting in the food. And right now I'm a master. I even eat more chili than my husband does, because whenever I'm cooking, I add the chili that I feel like, you know, this is enough for me. And when my husband is eating, he's like, oh my god, this is too spicy. So I find out that right now I eat more chili than he does. Okay, when he's having his food, he always prefers eating, you know, less chili in the curry, and then he adds some green chilies on the side for him to eat. But then because I add a lot of chili in my curries, so he's, you know, reducing with the green chilies that he usually used to eat before I started, you know, making the good foods that I made for him. So that is another problem that I faced in India the time that I was there. Guys, I lost weight for the first 1 month I was in India when we had gone for our marriage. I really lost weight because of, you know, not having a proper meal, and the chilies and stuff, you know, the spices. I couldn't handle that. So that is another problem that I faced when I was in India. The third problem that I faced when I landed in India was traditions. So I'm talking about this for, you know, like the back years, that is 2016. Right now everything is okay with me. Like, I am I blended in, like I fit everywhere, like everything is okay with me right now. But I'm speaking about the 2016 that I first went to India, like for the first time of my life. So the other thing is traditions. Oh my goodness, they have so many traditions that by that time I found it like, really, is this needed? You know what I'm talking about? But that is their tradition and I can't change it. Like I couldn't change it. I just had to go with the flow. You know what I'm saying? As I said in one of my previous video, my mom says, when you go where they eat dogs, you have to eat dogs. So for the traditions, I had to learn each and everything about the traditions. Like when I reached home, okay, I knew from seeing in movies and stuff, you have to touch somebody's feet, like the elders and stuff, get blessings. But there are so many things that I didn't know that these people take as traditions until I landed in India, until I went into my mother-in-law's home. You know what I'm talking about, like my in-laws home. And there's so many small traditions that are supposed to be done that I found, you know, new to me, that I'm like, really, is that needed? But then right now I am so into it. I love their traditions, I love their way of living, and I'm so happy and so grateful that I have come to learn and live with that, you know, because this is going to be my life for the whole of my life until I am with my husband, you know what I'm saying? So the other thing that I faced when I got married when I got into the interracial marriage was changing my lifestyle. Now, for the interracial marriages, you know, for other people like those ones who are married in America or stuff, or Germany or stuff, their lifestyle is almost the same with the lifestyle that, you know, they've been having here. Like a little bit changes, obviously. But then for me, it has to change, like from, you know, completely to the high level, because in my husband's family, my husband is the eldest son, and that means I am the eldest daughter-in-law. So everybody will be looking up to you guys, because after the mother and the father, you guys are the elders of the family. So right now I'm the eldest daughter-in-law of the family, and there are so many things that I put aside. You know, I really had to change my life a lot, because I have people that look up to me, like the way of talking, the way of dressing, the way I behave. You know what I'm talking about? I have to behave like an elder of the family. I have to, you know, dress up, and you know, so that the youngers look up to me and they're like, our sister-in-law does this, like they call me Babi or Baujo. Baujo is their traditional language, I mean it's their language, you know, meaning sister-in-law, like the elders, they have to give you the respect not to use your name. They have to call you Babi. Babi means sister-in-law, or Baujo. So this really changed my life upside down, from the life that I grew up living in and the life that I went into after getting married. There is a huge difference. My life changed completely, like completely. You can't imagine. Those people who knew me before, when they see me right now, they will be like, oh, is this the Nash that I used to know? Well, that is the life of getting married to an Indian, you know what I'm saying, or getting married in an interracial marriage. You have to, you know, cope up with so many things, and you have to, you know, be selfless and, you know, leave out some stuff for the goodness of your marriage, for your marriage to be healthy and stuff. So Adash is awake and he's playing with the cars and stuff. Yes, baby. Oh, okay, go and play, okay? So the other thing that I faced in my interracial marriage was when you get married to a different kind of man, maybe who is not African and stuff, people automatically think that you are loaded. By loaded, I mean that you are having money, like you have enough money to spend and stuff. You have money that is, you know, too much for you. You have to, you know what I'm talking about. You know, you guys who know it, people think you have money automatically when you get married to a different man who is coming from a different country. So that is a problem that I have been facing since 2016 till now. Like when somebody finds out you're married to an Indian, they're like, so you guys are loaded. You know what I'm talking about? And I believe this happens also to those other guys who are married to other countries. The other problem that I got in India is the cultural difference. Now, in my culture, things are done differently. You know, there is a way that we handle our stuff, you know, in a very normal and, you know, smooth way, and, you know, we don't mind sometimes. But in India, culture is culture. Like in my husband's family, culture is culture. You have to take each and everything, like the dressing, like the behavior, like the manners, like the eating, like everything must be it. Like culture means culture. In my family, that is so different. Like we are modern, I think, but they are a little bit modern, not that modern. Okay, they are modern, but they don't want to leave behind the culture, of which that doesn't happen in my culture. Here you just move on with life. You're like, okay, that was for long ago. Things need to change. But in India, culture is culture. You have to still follow the culture till now. This is why I told you about the culture differences in the previous video. If you've not watched it, go and check it out on my YouTube channel. It has culture differences, from Nashvlogs. And then the other thing that I faced in India, like after getting married in India, well, people usually think that your marriage is a marriage of benefit. You know what I'm talking about? Like you married for money or stuff, like you're married to benefit something from that person. And I think this is both-sided. Okay, most of the things that I've been talking about are from both my husband and me, because we sat down and we thought about this together, but he couldn't appear in the video because he has to go to work. You know what I'm talking about? So maybe we'll make another video for this some other time when he's around and he has time. But this is for both of us. When we got married for the first time and we went to India, and his friends found out he's married here, people are like, does she work? Because in India, usually in my husband's village, usually women don't go to work. They stay at home and the husbands go to work, right? So they thought maybe he married me because I go to work and I have money. You know what I'm talking about? So because I have a job, maybe a government job or something, this is why my husband married me. They didn't know that he married me because he loved me. So he had to explain, no, I married her because I love her, and she's a housewife. And they were like, what? So which applies to me as well. Like when you tell somebody, people will be thinking like you got married to an Indian because you want money, because he's rich or something, or you want to benefit out of the marriage or something. We don't want to benefit from anything. People think my husband married me, like here people think my husband married me because he wants to get the citizenship, but that is not the case. Like, okay, in the beginning people used to put that in my mind, like he's marrying you, Indians don't marry Africans, he's marrying you because he wants to be a citizen of India. But this is what I went into the marriage with, and I'm like, maybe, but this is not the case, because my husband has not yet gotten the citizenship. He's like, why should I get the citizenship here when I have a country? Like he just has his green, it's called green card, I think in USA or something, but here it is called the permit. He just has a permit to work in Uganda, and that is all. I've always told him, at least apply for a passport and stuff. A Ugandan passport is like, no, I'm Indian and I want my passport to be Indian. You know what I'm talking about? So to those people who thought my husband is marrying me because he wants to be a citizen of India, you're wrong. He is still a citizen of Uganda. You're wrong. He's still a citizen of India, and I am so proud that he thinks that he didn't marry. He takes it that I didn't marry you to be a citizen of Uganda. You know what I'm talking about? So I also didn't marry my husband because I want to be a citizen of India. But of course, I have to be able to travel to India without any document or stuff. Without the visas and stuff. I need to travel freely because this is also my kids' country. My kids hold Indian passports, and it will be hard for me to always go and get a visa and stuff, and then travel. Sometimes it will delay. You've already made the tickets and stuff. So this is why I had to apply for my book, my travel book for India. You know what I'm talking about? And so we didn't marry each other for benefits. No, we just did it for love, and I'm so proud of that. So those are some of the problems that I faced when I got married in India or in an interracial marriage, and we have tried so much to overcome all this, to put aside all the stereotypes that people have in their minds, and try and change the people's way of thinking about interracial marriage, if you know what I'm talking about. So that is it for today. Thank you so much for watching. Have a great day. Bye.